Hey guys, welcome to Windows 7. So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to build a Windows 7 from scratch all the way to the latest 2024 patch edition for embedded system, including the extended support, but without an extended support contract, without doing any modifications to the registry for embeddedness or to support the embedded updates, but literally from scratch, all the updates from the beginning of the installation process all the way through to the February 2024 patch without any modifications of any kind. Hopefully you guys enjoy the ride. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so first step, right? We speak English loosely. We're going to go English United States, and we're going to click on Next, and we're going to do Install. Okay, so we're going to accept the license and terms and click on Next. And we're going to do Custom. We're going to use the entire 40 gigs as our hard drive and click Next. This is going to copy and expand the features, etc., just like the installation process. Okay, so now the system is going to reboot itself in order to finish the installation process. Okay, so now Windows is going to check for video performance and things of that nature. And then it's going to come to a screen. It's going to require me to create a username. I'm just going to call myself root. We're going to require a PC name, so we're just going to call this one test win 7 and click next. It's going to require a password, so we put that in. And hit next. It's going to request a product key. I don't have one because I'm going to use this as a test machine for a total of maybe 3 days in order to prove that you can do this, prove the proof of concept. So I'm just going to hit next. I'm going to tell it to use recommended settings. Change my time zone to the location I'm at, which is Eastern Standard Time. Assuming I can find that in the list here. Okay, I'm going to click next. I'm going to say this is a work network and click next. And this is going to finalize the settings and let's get to the point where it's going to allow me to log into the system. Okay guys, welcome back. So you're looking at the screen as it is when I log in. I'm going to have to go out of order on a couple of updates just so that way I can install VMware tools so that way you can see the full screen and all of the action. In order to do that, I'm going to have to install a series of at least 3, I think it's 3 or 4 KBs from the Microsoft catalog site, so that way I could support the VMware Tools application, so that way I could get all the drivers installed and make it full screen. What we do is first is we're going to have to click on Internet Explorer, and once we get IE loaded, we're going to go to google.com. And actually, as I'm typing it, oh, it worked that time. Okay, usually Internet Explorer won't do the redirect, so you'd have to define HTTPS, but it worked this time, so that's fine. What we're going to do here is we're going to download Chrome. Choose to run it, choose choose yes. We can close Internet Explorer while it downloads and installs Chrome. Okay, so now that we have Chrome installed and it's running, let's full screen this, and we're going to have to go to the Microsoft catalog site to download the updates. So the first update we need is KB 4490628. So it's KB 4490268. Okay, so I'm going to go grab this. You can see that the date is 2019-03, so March of 2019. So that's inside of the supported date, right? So that's before the end of life in 2020. And we're going to look for specifically Windows 7 64-bit system, which is this guy right here. We're going to download that, click on that, and allow that to download. We're going to run this and install the update. Okay, so the next update we're going to need is KB 447 4419. Put too many 4s in there. There we go. So again, we're at 2019, so this is still within the service range of the Windows 7 operating system. So this is still a supported update or driver. And here's what we want. We want Windows 7 64-bit edition, right? So we're going to download this. I'm going to click on that and allow this to download. Okay. And we're going to run this. Now, generally, what I would do is I would run this, and then I'd run the next update, which is KB3125574, and I would install that. And then I would reboot the system. And when the system came back up, usually what I would do is I would run the Simplix rollup, which includes all the updates up to the 2020 day or end of life day. I won't do that this time, just because I want to show you that you could still update all the way to 2024 without any customizations. So it's going to take a little longer for us to go through all the update processes using the updates from the Microsoft Windows site. But for a proof of concept, to prove that this is possible without any customizations, I feel like that's important. So let's continue the update process here and do KB3125574. Okay. So for whatever reason, I'm no longer in an English location for Windows updates. So let's just paste that in there and do a search and grab the download from the English version. There we go. So we need the update for Windows 7 for 64-bit systems. We're going to download this one. So while this downloads, what we're going to do is we'll install this update and we'll reboot the system and allow the system to come back up. Then we'll install VMware tools if possible. It is possible that I would need additional updates that I don't have yet on the system to install the VMware tools. And if I can't, what I'll do is I'll just zoom into the screen so you can see it better at that point. Okay, so install the update, yes. Okay, so once this is finished, I'm going to reboot this system and allow the system to come back up and provide us with, at that point, to see if we can install VMware tools. If we can't, then what we'll have to do is I'll just zoom in the recording on the screen and we'll run through the series of Windows updates on the system until we can install the VMware tools and actually expand the screen. Okay, so our update finally finished applying, so now we're just going to restart the system. Okay, so now the system's rebooted after running the first series of updates, the ones that we manually installed to see if we can install VMware tools. So we're going to click to log in. Before I do anything on this system, I'm going to go to Control Panel. I'm going to go to Small Icons. I'm going to go to Windows Updates. I'm going to specifically go to View Update History. And here we go. These are the updates that we just installed. As you can see, there's only the 4. I haven't gone crazy. There's nothing else installed on the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out of this thing, and we're going to actually attempt to install VMware tools first before we do anything further. We'll choose yes and see if this will install. Choose next and complete, and next and install. Okay, so we'll choose finish and we'll reboot it now, and when it comes back up, we'll continue installing updates. Okay, so the server the desktop just came back up, so we'll click next. Okay, so we're logged back in. And what we're going to do real quick is we're going to try to extend the screen before we continue on. Okay, so we got the screen extended at this point, so you should be able to see the full screen now, which makes it a lot easier to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Start. We're going to go to Control Panel. We're going to go to Windows Updates. And we're going to check for updates. Now this will probably take a little while before it'll find something to start downloading the update process. But once it finds it, it should update all of the updates up to a certain point where it needs to be rebooted. And then when it comes back up again, I think there's a series of 3 or 4 additional updates that it needs to apply. Again, while this is doing this, what I'm going to do real quick is, once again, I'm just going to check the view update history and show that there's only the 4 updates here. And we'll continue to let the thing check for updates. Okay guys, so finally found the updates. You can see down here it took a few minutes to do so. Before I click the install updates, just to check again to prove that there's been no changes that have taken place to the system, I'm just going to do view update history. Again, you can see the 4 updates that we applied in order to install our VMware tools. We go back to Windows Updates. We're going to see 55 important and available and 6 are optional. I'm actually going to look at these and see specifically what years we have in here. Alright, so we have a variety of updates. Likely it's not going to make any difference. I'm actually going to apply all of them, so we have all of the updates available from Microsoft's Windows 7 update site right now. And I'm just going to click OK. I'm going to choose Install. And I'm going to accept the license. And I'm going to have this thing just run through all 60 Windows updates and install them. And once it finishes them, I'll restart the video before I restart the system, so we could check again to make sure that there haven't been any additional changes inside of the Windows Update history. Okay guys, well, as with most things with Windows 7 and older versions of Windows, we're still running Windows Updates. You could check the clock from the previous clip, but we're at 3:18 now. Still continuing to run the updates. We're on 40 of 60. Okay guys, another clock check. So it's 3:29. Started at 3:04. I'm on update 58 of 60, which is an Internet Explorer update. Still waiting for this thing to finish so I can reboot the system. Okay guys, so Windows Updates finished running updates. I've had a couple of them that looks like they were failed attempts for specific security patches, but that's to be expected. Usually get failures because they've been circumvented or superseded by a later update. So I'm not really concerned with that, but what we're going to do now is we're just going to reboot this system so it'll apply these updates. Okay, so Windows just came back up after the reboot, and as you can see, Microsoft Edge just installed itself. So it's going to ask me a series of questions that I'm not really interested in answering, so we're going to go over here and just go to the process and end the process because I just don't really care what Edge has to say right now. So anyway, let's go back into the control panel and let's go to Windows Updates. And then let's check to see what we have waiting here. So we still have 1 update left. So we'll just say okay, we'll install the update. Okay, so the update finished. We'll go back to check for updates to see if there's anything else that it reports back. While it's doing that, let's check to see if we have anything changed. So, as you can see, updates have applied. Ones that have failed have been indicated. There's nothing really in here that indicates any changes. If you want me to scroll slowly, feel free to go through every KB if you want on the list to check, but there's nothing installed on here as far as like the extended service updates or contracts or anything. This is a base out of the box install, and you've watched me through the process in the day. So let's go back now to the Windows updates to check. Okay, so after doing the scan, we found 3 additional important updates that are available. We could see them as the last roll-up for the 2020, right before Windows 7 was end of life. So let's install these last couple of updates. And then once we get to the point where the system has to reboot, I will kick the video back off. Keep in mind at the time, we're at 3:40, so... Okay, so our update's finished. One of them failed. Could do the view update history to see specifically which one failed. And it looks like the 2017 December update failed, likely because it's superseded by this update, so that's totally normal. We're going to restart the system now. When the system comes back up, we'll kick it off and run another series of updates to see if it finds anything in the update catalog available for the automatic update side. And then we'll reboot after that if there is anything. If there's not, we'll start the process of adding the additional updates to 2024. Okay guys, so the system's back up. I spared you guys the boredom of having to wait for this thing to find additional updates, so I checked for updates, and as you can see, it finds 8 additional updates. So we're going to continue the process of updating this thing. Right now we still have a additional 1 update for the 2020 for the preview. I don't think I'm going to install the preview updates. I'm just going to continue on. So I'll click OK, click Install, and this should download the updates and apply the updates to the Windows 7 machine. And once it finishes, it'll reboot again, and I will check again for updates. But I suspect that this will continue on for the next hour or two, checking for updates, just because Windows 7 kind of piecemeals things together as far as the update process is concerned, because it needs to put sets of updates that don't require a reboot and then a set of updates that do require a reboot, not in the same session, because it doesn't support the multi-threading the same as like Windows 10 or beyond. So let's restart this box. Once this box comes back up, we'll check again for updates, and I'll kick back off. Okay guys, so we're back up, logged back in, ran another series of updates, checked again on the Microsoft site, and as you can see, it found another important update. So we're just going to click Install and immediately get a failure. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, it's for Microsoft Defender. We don't need that. I'm not really worried about that. Optional updates, yeah, that's fine. All right, so based on that, we don't really have anything else we need to apply. So let's reboot the system one more time, and when the system comes back up, let's start the process of manually installing the patches for 2024's security rendition for Windows 7. Okay guys, so we're back in the system. I haven't checked for updates. I figure we'll just wing it and see what happens. We need to make sure we have the servicing updates installed, so that way we can install the latest versions of the patches. If they're not installed, we may have to install them manually, or we could go through the update process and continue on until we get all the updates. It's a slow process with Windows 7, and I'm running out of time today to finish this out, so I think I'd prefer to just run the last remaining patches manually if needed, but we'll see what happens. So I used my WSUS server, and if you don't have any idea what that is or how to configure that, check out one of my other videos. I'll put the link in the description. But basically what I used is my WSUS server to pull the KBs. So the knowledge base, the actual installation for the updates, the ones that aren't overwritten or circumvented by the next update or superseded in the path are all the ones that are listed here. So these are the available updates for 2021. That are individual updates. So in other words, there's updates in between and before this, but these are the ones that replace the previous updates. So rather than having to go through and install 100 updates for each year that you're missing, you could just install these updates so you don't have to do that. So we have 4 of them for 2021, 3 for 22, 2 for 23, and 2 for 24. And you'll notice that at least these updates here from 21, 22, and 23 are specific for Windows 7 Pro x64 edition. If you have the 32-bit edition, it may be different. It may not be. I didn't dig into those. With that said, you could go to 2023 and run the updates manually to support your machine specifically. Once you get to 2024, they end of life the extended support for Windows 7 Pro and now only offer extended support for the point of sale or embedded systems. But those updates will still install on a professional system, so you could still secure it up to the 2024 rendition. So now let's go through the path on how we can go about getting the updates installed. So we're going to grab the first one here. We're going to open up my Google Chrome. We're going to paste this in here. We're going to do a search. We're going to grab the catalog. And in here, we're going to look specifically for the Security Monthly Quality Rollup for Windows 7 64-bit edition. And we're going to click Download, and then click the link to actually start the download. And once this finishes downloading, we'll kick off the update. Okay guys, so the update's completed. Let's just click on it now and see what happens. Oh, there we go. So security update for the roll-up for 10/12/2021. Do we want to install it? Yep. Okay, so what this is doing now is this is rolling us up to the next roll-up, the next update available. And basically what this is doing is it's allowing us to manually install the extended support patches from the Microsoft catalog onto I'm going to call it a vanilla Windows 7 machine. There's no customization here. It's just a Windows 7 machine that we ran all the updates from the update website, with the exception of the couple at the beginning, so that way we could install our VMware tools, and that allowed us to install updates manually on the system. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of these, but I'm not going to go through every single one of them just because of the timing, and I don't want this video to go on endlessly. But as you can see, you don't need to add customized patches. You don't need to add hacked updates. You don't need to add scam. You don't need to add any questionable configurations to install updates on Windows 7 and get yourself up to the latest revision and the latest build. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow this thing to finish out this update, and then I'll probably run 1 or 2 additional updates in the back end, and then I'll get back onto here and show you how to do the same thing and install the embedded Windows 7 updates for 2024. Okay guys, so a second one we're going to do real quick is the 2023 patch, which is required to do the 2024 patch. So if you look at the screen, we're installing KB 5017361, and if you look at the actual service date for the update, and we're looking at 2/8/2023, which is 3 years after the end of life of Windows 7. As you can see, it is installing. There it goes. It's installing the update. And again, there's no configuration changes on this machine. This is a vanilla system. We don't have any hacks. We don't have any changes. We don't have any modifications. This is out of the box, Windows 7, running the updates manually. Okay guys, welcome back. So the system's back up after installing our patches. So far I've done one of the 2021s, one of the 22s, and one of the 23s. I'm now going to do the embedded system patch. Okay guys, so it took me a little while to get the download finished and to launch it. It did the whole scrolly thing on the screen for a little while, and then eventually it launched. So right now we're in the process of installing the updates. So these are the 2024 updates for Windows 7. Okay guys, so I just rebooted. System came back up. As you can see, this is January 2024 for Windows 7 embedded. And if you look up here, we have the same KB 5034167 successfully installed today. And there's your embedded operating system updates for Windows 7. So there you see, you can install all the updates from the Microsoft catalog without any modifications on a vanilla Windows 7 system and get it fully up to date. So I guess the question now is, should you do this? And I got to be honest with you, I don't think so. The reality is that if you want an automated update process, follow the WSUS videos and just configure that so that you could set it up so you could get the updates automatically. If you're going to do it manually, then just use the Simplix update tool to update to Service Pack 2 and then do the manual updates, which is about 6 manual updates, which will take you far less time. The only reason I did it this way is because the previous video, which I took down, was because there were arguments that the installation of the patches that I used in the video were things that did the extended support and circumvented Microsoft's licensing services. And I don't want to circumvent anything. I don't want anybody to pirate anything. So I just created this video, this full video here on how to do this without any third party of any kind. With that said, I'll add all the stuff in the description and then the suggested process, so that way you don't have to spend all day or 3/4 of your day doing the update process to get to this point. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the ride. Sorry I had to pull the other video. Also, just for the record, Linux is still a better operating system for a free OS. But if you have to install Microsoft Office, or you want it to function in a way that you're used to, and you still have a Windows 7 machine, this is the process and how to actually make it secure so you could still use it. Like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging around. Take it easy, guys.